Okay, thank you. Sorry about that, but we do have our video back, and hopefully everything will run smoothly from this point forward. So we do apologize for that. I'd like to right now introduce you to Professor Sandhu, Sharon Sandhu. You want to step on up here? Have a seat.
Hi there. My name is Sharon Sandhu, and I am a professor of history, and I am also Associate Dean in the College for Curriculum, which means that I know a lot about all of the diverse array of academic programs that we offer in the college at Drew. And my job is to give you a very brief overview of what it's like to be in the classroom at Drew. And what I would say about that is that what distinguishes Drew as a unique, a special place are both how students learn, but also what students learn. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each in turn. First of all, how students learn. We are a small liberal arts college that prides ourselves on close interaction between faculty and students, which means that class sizes are small. Students know their faculty very, very well. Students are actively seeing their academic advisors, who are also their professors, on, I would say, at least a weekly basis, which is a fantastic thing. But that also goes hand in hand with the style of learning in the classroom. Drew is not a place where students sit back and kind of passively listen to a professor speak at them and lecture at them. What we do in the classroom is actively engage students in the process of learning by doing. And so what that means, for example, is that a student who's taking a course in the biology department on tropical marine ecology isn't just going to look at pretty pictures of fish. They're going to spend their spring break snorkeling in Belize and actually doing research in the field. It means that a student who is taking a course on business in Japan isn't just abstractly reading articles about the subject. They're spending a week in Japan engaging with small business owners, with government leaders, and learning about what business is about, how finance is organized, again, in the field. We learn through doing. In my own field in history, every single student who's a major in history, by the time they graduate, has conducted their own original research project, working with faculty with original historical resources on a topic of their choosing. So again, it's not just about passively learning, it's about creating, it's about doing. The other aspect of the education that is unique, that distinguishes Drew as a liberal arts college where we learn through doing, has to do with what students learn. And Drew is a liberal arts college. And what that means is that we don't think of the coursework, the education that students receive in their undergraduate curriculum, as being narrowly focused on preparing each student for a career of their choosing. It's simply not the best way to prepare young people for their futures. We live in a very dynamic, rapidly changing economy. Careers and opportunities that exist by the time a student graduates very well might not exist yet. And so the very best way that we can prepare students is by cultivating habits of creative thinking, of organized thinking, research skills that will allow students to adapt to a changing marketplace, to come up with new ways to engage with the world so that they are flexible enough to cope with a rapidly globalizing and changing world around them. And the way we do that is embedded in the curriculum for undergraduates here at Drew. And I would characterize that curriculum as built around the coursework, is built around three key conceptual aspects of an educated person that we're building. First of all, we're building into the curriculum skills that every college-educated person should have in order to be successful in the world beyond. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Second of all, we're cultivating flexible habits of thinking so that students can think broadly about problems that they encounter in the world around them and apply a multiplicity of tools and different frames of reference in order to be able to puzzle through how to resolve conflicts and problems and tackle whatever challenges they might face subsequently. And finally, we cultivate what I would describe as global habits of thinking about the world. And I'll speak a little bit more about each in turn. So first of all, skills. The two key skills that employers tell us are absolutely essential for any college-educated person are, first of all, the ability to write. And every single Drew student, by the time they graduate, will be able to write for a broad array of audiences in smooth, polished prose. This is probably the most critical skill that a college-educated person will need, whether they go on for further study, for professional training, or right out into the world of work. Writing skills are an absolute must, and it's built throughout the curriculum. Second of all, students need to be able to work with numbers, need to have habits of quantitative thinking. And that's also built into the curriculum. Now, does that mean that every single student is taking math classes? Well, not necessarily. We want students to be doing their writing and to be doing their quantitative thinking in ways that make sense given their larger goals and given their interests. So for example, a student who is interested in theater and wants to be a theater major in our very highly ranked theater program, it doesn't necessarily make sense for that student to take a calculus class. What makes sense is for that student to take a theater technology course where they're learning those habits of quantitative thinking in ways that they're engaged and that apply to their interests. And the same is true for students who are art history majors and history majors and sociology majors. We build the writing, we build the quantitative thinking into the curriculum in ways that the students are going to be interested in doing that work and will be acquiring the skills in ways that they're motivated to do and make sense. The second set of what I would characterize as kind of like skills or habits of thinking that we build into the coursework are what I describe as flexible ways of thinking. Every student is going to find their passion, and they're going to pursue that passion to their heart's content in what we call a major, which is sort of standard from university to university and college to college. And we offer a vast array of disciplines at Drew. We offer a multiplicity of natural science majors, the standard physics, chemistry, biology, computer science, mathematics. We also have a number of interdisciplinary science majors as well, including biological anthropology, neuroscience, biochemistry, environmental science. We also offer the full host of social science majors. These are fields in which students are studying the ways that social scientists apply the scientific method in order to study interactions within communities and the creation of social groupings. And this would include psychology, it would include sociology, anthropology, which is the study of the creation of cultures within communities, economics, business studies, and of course, political science. It also includes the humanities. These are fields where we engage the study of how people construct values and understand the world around them. It would include the study of the past, so history, for example, philosophy, right? The ways in which human beings construct values and ethics and understand the ways in which they engage with the world. It would include the study of comparative religion as one of the fields that a student could choose to concentrate and major in. Also the foreign languages and cultures as well. And finally, we also, and English literature and world literatures as well. We also have a very wide array of fine arts areas that students can choose to focus in for their majors, including theater, music, fine arts, and art history as well. And then there's a number of what we call interdisciplinary areas that kind of cross those boundaries from one area of sort of traditional disciplinary study to the other, including Pan-African studies, including women's studies. I already mentioned environmental science. So there's really a tremendous array of areas where students could choose to focus their energies. And the advice that I always give students is this: you want to think in terms of what you're really, truly interested in. And if you're pursuing that passion, that area of curiosity, all of the other pieces of the puzzle fall into place. You'll be motivated to build skills with writing and quantitative thinking. You'll be motivated to pursue the study and the development of research projects, for example, the kinds of things that employers in the marketplace are looking for are going to kind of come as a byproduct of putting your energies into something that you're really curious about studying. And it doesn't necessarily even matter what that field is. The things that are going to make you an attractive and appealing college-educated individual will kind of come along naturally. Now, we do want students to find their area of passion and find their area of focus, but we also want students to kind of push outside of their comfort zone as well. And so we ask students to do a little bit of coursework in every single one of those broad areas. And that gives students that flexible set of habits of thinking that allow them to tackle problems and questions from multiple different perspectives. That's what gets you thinking dynamically, by moving around the curriculum that way. And the final area that I would characterize our curriculum as emphasizing has to do with what I call global thinking. We live in a global world where we kind of can't live in a bubble anymore. And we need to be able to engage with people with very different backgrounds and very different beliefs than ourselves. And we need to have an appreciation for the ways in which the world is an interconnected place. And so all students, by the time they graduate, we ask that they've received at least an intermediate level of proficiency in a language other than the one that they grew up speaking. And that is essential in a globalizing world. It helps you to think in different ways by speaking in different languages. We also build into our coursework certain capacities for understanding inequality across the world, and the ways in which people construct beliefs and values differently from place to place, and the ways in which those different sets of values interact and sometimes come into conflict with each other. And finally, in order to get students to put into practice their habits of global thinking, every student who comes to Drew will have what we call an off-campus experience, where they're taking what they learn in the classroom and they're putting it into practice in the world beyond. It could be in the context of a course, right? So for example, that biology course where students go to Belize and study tropical marine ecology on site. It could be a study abroad experience outside of the United States. So for example, we offer our own interdisciplinary semester in London, which is a really special experience where students are blending study of government, of culture, of history, and of theater on site in London. It includes the opportunity to participate in global study abroad programs with what we call our global partners, which gives students access with maximum credit potential to study abroad opportunities worldwide, with credit opportunities that translate directly to their Drew requirements and directly to their majors as well. It could also involve the opportunity to do what we call a short-term abroad experience. Perhaps it's 3 weeks immersing yourself in a culture with the very same group of students that you spent the semester prior studying that culture, that problem on campus. So for example, one of my colleagues who is a professor of comparative religion, he every year takes a group of students to Egypt where they study the Sudanese refugee crisis. And they actually do what we call civic engagement work, working with children in an orphanage who are themselves displaced as a consequence of that Sudanese refugee crisis, which is a really transforming experience for those students. It could also include the opportunity to spend a semester in one of our New York semester programs, and these are really unique offerings that we have at Drew. We have a semester program right across the river in New York City, working and studying on Wall Street. We have another semester program that's affiliated with the political science department, where students do the same thing in a classroom directly across the street from the United Nations, actively engaging with the non-governmental organizations and with the government agencies that make their work diplomacy with other nations. We also have the art semester, which is actually embedded within the curriculum for both fine arts majors and art history majors, where students aren't just studying how to paint, aren't just studying kind of abstractly what artists do from a classroom on campus, but are actively going to galleries, to see how practicing artists and going to museums to see how practicing curators go about their craft and go about developing new creative styles and making sense of how curators and collectors assemble their collections and really learning hands-on in the field how the contemporary art scene works, as well as a Washington semester where students are combining study through political science or history departments with internships in Washington, D.C. And those semester programs were always adding to that slate of offerings. Students also have the opportunity to develop their own internships with the assistance of our very able Career Services Office and receive credit for those, which are an opportunity to pursue an area of potential interest, sort of in terms of a career, and try it on for size and receive credit for it before sort of jumping in after graduation. And also to develop their own research projects where they're working one-on-one with a faculty member, not necessarily even on campus, conducting research that is in an area of passion for them. All told, these experiences create something really pretty unique and very student-tailored. So students at Drew are able to figure out what makes them tick, what they're really interested in doing, and pursue it at length, try on new things for size, get out there into the world, and that is what makes this very unique, full impact experience that we offer through our curriculum at Drew. I'm going to stop talking at that point and leave open the opportunity for questions.
I don't think we have any questions have come through here as yet. So what we can do is move to the student panel, if that's okay. And if any questions come through, we'll be able to address them. Great.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I can't see you, but if any questions emerge, you can always get in contact with the faculty or with the Dean's office at Drew, and we will connect you with people who can answer those questions or answer them ourselves. So good luck in your decisions about where you'll be completing your college education, and hopefully we will meet you in the future.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor. Hello, thank you. Welcome back. I'm hoping that you're finding most of the information that you're hearing from our presenters very helpful and informative for you. As you've heard time and time again, and as I've said, the Drew experience really is like no other. It's a very personable place to be, one in which you are going to find yourself truly immersed and engaged in what it is that you're most interested in. Okay. What I'd like to do now is to get ready to bring up, well, part of our student panel is here. We have 1, 2, 3 students, and they're going to take a moment. They're going to introduce themselves and to give you and to share with you some of the insight that they get from Drew, that Drew experience from their own personal mouths. Okay. So if you'll give us just a second while we make that transition, we'll be right back. Okay, ladies, you want to step on over? Can we go with another chair? First, let me thank you for coming over and spending some time with us this afternoon, okay? If you'll just take a moment and introduce yourselves, give us a little information about you. I'm sorry, a little information about who you are, what your major is, and most importantly, why you chose Drew and why you're staying until you graduate, okay? All right, so we'll start with you. How about that?
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Shaina Perez. I am a sophomore, so I'm class of 2016. My majors are neuroscience and Spanish. I picked Drew because it was a really small school. I met the neuroscience professor here, and he was really nice. He was really informative, and he was really passionate. I spoke to him for maybe half an hour, and I just got so much information from him. And it made me, it fired my interest in neuroscience. So that's why I picked Drew.
Hi everyone, I'm Shanna. I'm a senior, class of 2014, so hardly believe I'm here, but here I am. I am an English major, writing minor, and I am actually from California, so I did really make a big leap to move across the country. So I really did have enough faith in Drew to like show up here and live here for 4 years, and I haven't regretted a minute of it as I am a senior, and it's all coming to a close. It's funny to think back at how well Drew has impacted my life, but I would say that I really did pick Drew because they liked me the most, and as I mean, I am a tour guide here at school, so I get asked that question a lot. So honestly, they liked me the most, which is really important that there's a school willing to invest in you as much as you're willing to invest in them. So that's why I really enjoy being a student here.
My name is Maddie. I'm also a sophomore. Philosophy major as of now. Probably going to add something else. Potentially a French minor, potentially sociology double major. Not really sure yet. Still have time. But the reason I chose Drew, it's funny because when I was going through college application process, the woman who was helping me pick, she told me about Drew. I'd never heard of it, probably like a lot of other people. And so literally from the minute I stepped on campus, I fell in love. I did early decision, only applied to Drew, only got in. It was awesome because January, everyone else was doing all their college apps and I was already accepted, ready to go. And it was just because when I sat in one of the classes and being here now, like the professors are just, whatever discipline they're teaching, they care about it so much. Like the reason I became a philosophy major actually is because Dr. Lee, even after just taking Philosophy 101, we would have like intense conversations about life, and it's just like he really loves what he does, and that's what really matters, and that's why I love Drew. Plus the small class sizes make it easier for you to actually engage in the conversation.
I think like the best part I've always found that like you can be so passionate about your given major, and there's kind of like this competition within like all your group of friends over who belongs to the best department. Because I mean, I think
it's funny because all my friends, like after I took 101, I was like, you guys, you have to take philosophy. Like it's great. And so 2 of my best friends are in Philosophy 101 this semester, and I'm in Philosophy of Religion. And like we went to philosophy club, and we're just like we had a 2-hour conversation with him after the club ended, like just talking about like life. And we're like, can we like go to dinner and just like talk about this more? He was like, yeah, of course. Like so he was like open to talk anytime usually. So
yeah, and you kind of like become like unknowingly passionate too. Like
Yeah.
I'll find myself like
bringing it up.
exactly, and it's like you can be made fun of for totally geeking out, but everyone geeks out about their own respective majors, so it's like it doesn't even matter anymore anyway. It's just like, and also in addition, like, do you guys have any of those classes that have nothing to do with your major? Like you really enjoyed?
Actually, I'm taking globalization in the Francophone world this semester. I just found out like it doesn't actually apply for the minor, which is, it's okay though because I really love the class. Like it's in English, even though it's a French class. So, but we're talking about things that like hopefully one day I'll be able to discuss in French. But it's like we're talking about globalization mainly, and like we just saw this play in Brooklyn, and it was in Chinese, French, and with English subtitles, and it was like. It was awesome because it was free, and we got to go to Brooklyn for free and see this play, and it was really cool, and it's just really interesting, all the opportunities you get to come across when you come here, especially with New York being, less than an hour away.
Like, I think one of my favorite ones, I took like a history of jazz class like a couple years ago, and I just liked it, and I was like, I like this music, and it fulfilled like one of our general education requirements, so I was like, I'm going to take this class, and I did, and it ended up helping me out in my major because all of the literature I seem to enjoy comes from that period when jazz kind of like lost me, and I was just like, to find something that I thought would be unrelated to anything that I was doing and to bring it in because I had that power and I was able to do it, like shows how flexible the curriculum is. Like, I'm sure you've taken one of those, like awesome.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of, I took a Spanish class, and, it kind of went to my major, but not really, because we're not allowed to have more than one class in the major that's a different language, that's in English. So it was like a theater history kind of in English, but about like the Hispanic and the Spanish specific, like from Spain, from like all these other different places, and it was so cool. Like that's how I decided who my advisor was gonna be, because I had class with him one day, and day one, I'm like, oh my god, yes, this man needs to be my advisor whenever I decide to declare. And it was so cool. You know, I
Definitely
really
is actually my advisor too. And he wrote my recommendation to get into the Baldwin Honors Program, which I did get accepted into this summer. So that was it.
It's sort of like the benefit of having like small classes
Yeah.
is that you're on first name basis with a lot
It's
of
actually my
professors.
biggest class too.
Yeah.
It's 50 kids, and like Hall of Sciences 104, the biggest classroom you'll ever be in on this campus. But it was funny because I sat in the first row, so it was me and my friend Shakur and like this kid Quaid. So it was like there were 3 kids in the class because no one else would talk. I don't know. I guess they're intimidated because it's 101, but like it was like the 4 of us in a class, even though it was a big class. So that was cool. That's how I got to know my name. Recommend me for that.
We have some questions.
Oh, we got some questions. All right. Let me see. Is the off-campus experience a graduation requirement? Is it the entire semester, certain amount of credit hours? How many hours in the field do you need? Okay. Oh, well, okay, so basically an off-campus experience doesn't mean you need to leave for an entire semester. Professor Cinder was talking about that a little earlier. I studied for a semester in London, but that was just like, but I didn't have to do that. The school just wants you to get somewhere out of the world, and that could be as like short as a week, like a month in the summer, or like a full-on semester, depending on what you want to do. Or if you're a crazy person that triple majors and you don't have the time to set aside 3 months of your life, you can like spend a week or a month or so wherever you want to go. So there isn't a required number of hours, and like you don't even have to go to another country to do that. We have like classes that go into the city, and that's part of like your class work in a course. So like the contemporary art semester, Wall Street semester, UN semester, you would leave campus and then come back to campus. So it doesn't even have to be something as intense as deciding to be in another country for a couple months.
Plus internships.
Yep,
I mean,
and
internship
internships.
possibilities, which there are countless because, I mean, Madison, pharmaceuticals all around us, plus into the city, I mean, Wall Street. Any number of whatever you're interested in. We pretty much have an internship
Yeah.
for it.
So I mean, I think it's the best graduation requirement. It's like go out in the world
And
and
actually
enjoy
do
yourselves.
things.
Yeah,
Don't be in the classroom all the time.
exactly.
Even though that's great. But
Yeah.
you also have to like actually experience the world.
Yep. Oh, another one. How are transfer students integrated into on-campus housing? Oh, well, I think they have a separate application process. I can't like give like exact details, but because I don't know them personally, but I know that I have a couple of friends that are transfer students who would apply, and then they have a separate date for housing that like a traditional student coming in as a freshman would do. So I think it's just a matter of watching out for dates. But like they are involved in like the on-campus housing as everyone else can be, and they're eligible for any of the housing places that we offer. Yep.
I don't know.
Are these questions?
It'll scroll. So when you ladies are not in class, what are some of the things that you can find yourself into when you're on campus, like after class, like during the weekends? Would you say that it becomes one of those colleges that some students refer to as a suitcase college, where the weekend everybody goes home and there's nothing to do? Would you say that about Drew?
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
Okay.
since I'm from so far away, like I would be completely devastated if everyone left me for the weekend. So no, and it just, I think just what you would do, it's really up to you. You can stay on campus if you want, but we're less than an hour away from New York City, so it could even be on impulse to be like, hey, I feel like going to the city, let's go Friday night. You go and you come back to campus, like.
I don't think it's a suitcase school at all. In fact, most people that live close by like never go home. I mean, just because they live so close, they don't want to go home. They need this distance from, I mean, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, so I couldn't go home even if I wanted to. But my friend has an apartment in New York, so this past weekend we went to New York City for the weekend, and like Sunday it was like all of us sitting on his floor doing homework, and I swear I spent 6 hours on my philosophy assignment that's due, like I have class at 7 actually. But yeah, we were all just like sitting there doing homework together, but in New York, so I guess that was okay because we had a better view of the city. So it's like you could do there's always like events too.
Like today, there's like that barbecue before the soccer game.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's just like things. It's really just
Clubs.
yeah. Clubs do a lot of things, and you're just always like there's always a new flyer somewhere advertising something to do. So
Plus, you could get a job. I mean, I work in the gym on campus, so I'm always doing there a lot. But
I have 5 different jobs on campus.
Oh.
So
one up to you.
So, I don't really have that much free time, but, when I do have free time, I like to, we have this thing, like UPB, that they plan events out of things. Like, so in case you wanted to, I don't know, what do we have, like midnight breakfast during
Oh, yeah.
For finals,
week? Yeah, that's free food. And every event you go to will have food. And that sounds really bad, but I love to go for the food. So we have those kinds of events. We have like dances sometimes. We have our holiday ball like on sometime in December. And these are all kind of different events that Drew will hold like on the weekends or towards the weekend-ish days, so like Thursday or Friday. And I don't know, I feel like it just really kind of like makes everyone take a break and stuff from their studying, and they get to do stuff that isn't related.
And you get to meet people that you wouldn't have met if you
Yeah.
were just in your room studying.
Yeah.
and it's small enough where you're going out and you see someone like, oh, I had you in that one class, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
hi, and it's it's nice to like run into people
Yeah.
and like kind of know them and get to know them on a social level rather than just in an academic setting.
Yeah.
You ladies take the advantage of taking classes in the other schools. Some of your courses cross-listed. You might want to talk a little bit about that. The seminary and graduate school.
I don't take any classes.
But I haven't either, but I know that a lot of, one of my friends is a comparative religion, majoring in comparative religion, and then so they'll be aware of events that are happening with either the theological school or the graduate school, and it's very, as much as they are 3 different schools technically, they're very much aware that the other schools exist. They're always opening opportunities up for students, or the graduate school is holding this thing, or the theological school is doing this thing. Any interested student can go in and participate in it. There's there isn't an exclusion at all. So, I've never done it personally, but I know at least especially for those majors that involve those things, like a comparative religion major, it's
Yeah.
nice to know.
So if you're studying religion, you would be able to
Mhm.
do stuff from that.
So much.
I know.
Without questions.
I know.
Ask some questions. So
I know.
they can answer.
We're all in admissions too.
I know.
Have you guys
I'm a
had-
tour guide.
Have you guys ever had gone into Java City or anything, and then just seen your professor, or gone to the gym and just seen your professor working out? I worked out next to my professor all the time.
Which professor?
Professor Andrews, he's a social professor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he would just be on the mic, and I'm like,